It's 5:45 AM at a damp and wet Tottenham Court Road, Elizabeth Line station. And Monday mornings are when my excitement builds up to as I look forward to my next travel adventure. Today we are off on one of my most exciting journeys to date, a trip to the far southern tip of Europe, where I will be travelling by sea to Africa. The aim is to bridge two continents on some fantastic ships and boats. Will all go to plan? Right from the start, the answer is no. Sadly, things on this trip would start off on a bad foot. And with that, welcome to Carl's Travel Channel, where every journey costs less than £200. Please sit back, buckle up, and enjoy the ride. And always remember, the nearest exit may be behind you. One of my regular first trains I catch on a trip is the 5:50 AM Elizabeth Line, but despite the departure boards saying otherwise, this morning there were overrunning engineering works. I had to make a mad dash to get to Farringdon for the Thames link to the airport, but the Central Line was also closed. After a quick brainstorm how to get there instead, I jumped aboard the Northern Line, where I would head south to Waterloo. The plan was to change tubes there and catch the Thames link from London Bridge instead. Off the train, let's go, my heartbeat racing. But once at Waterloo and rechecking the train times on my phone, I decided the London Bridge plan was too risky, and to run upstairs into Waterloo's main station and to catch this SWR train from here to Clapham Junction in order to connect from there to a southern train to Gatwick. Though alas, I still did not have much time, with my flight now only about 2 hours away. It really was a case of keep calm and carry on. So, here we go. The fare for the journey was £12.80, touching in with contactless. Excellent value to Gatwick. These classic old British rail trains, with their red seats, are really now showing their age. They are probably some of the oldest now operating in the UK, and they remind me of my daily commute to New Malden when I used to work in the travel industry. I didn't catch the southern train on video since it was stuffed to the gills with people, but anyhow, I made it to Gatwick Airport. To make things worse, my flight was from the North Terminal, so I needed to take the monorail, which sadly, as per usual, was way too overcrowded to take a video. But phew, I made it, and a nice quick journey through security, and I was through to what felt like a regular bus for me onto the remote stands. I don't think I've ever used a boarding bridge at Gatwick's North Terminal. Has anyone else? Please let me know in the comments below. Passing by one of British Airways' A321 aircraft, I took one of these earlier in the year to the Canary Islands. I could just spy my aircraft for the first time over here in the middle. The fare on EasyJet today was an amazing £21, with £8 paid extra for a window seat. Some long-haul aircraft here, including this very smart-looking TUI Boeing 787 Dreamliner. You can see its distinctive raked wingtips. TUI like to give their planes names, and this one is called Pixie Dust. And a British Airways 777-200 heading to one of its many destinations from here at Gatwick to either the Caribbean or Florida. I love this hefty Douglas tug also, used for pushing the large aircraft out of their gates. Alighting the bus in the rain to board the jet, this EasyJet Airbus A320. There's always a great feeling of boarding a plane via the air stairs and seeing its huge size on the ramp. So, here we go. Pushback occurs at 8:13 AM. An amazing 7 minutes ahead of schedule. I was unable to record any more of the taxi out due to the large amount of water trickling down the window. In no time at all, we are clear for takeoff, runway 26 left. Passing by the few remainders of what was once the British Caledonian and Laker Airways hangars of the 1970s and 80s. Anyhow, as I know you get bored of flights quick, let's speed this up. I love the early morning fog clinging over the English countryside of Sussex below. Let's listen to some of the onboard announcements.
The cabin crew have been released from their seats to enter flight duties. However, the seatbelt sign is still on, so please remain in your seat with your seatbelt securely fastened until the signs have been switched off. When it's safe to do so, if you choose to open the overhead lockers, please just take care in case anything has moved and could fall out. Smoking is not permitted on board at any time. This includes the use of e-cigarettes. We have a range of teas, coffees, hot chocolates. We have soft drinks, including fizzy drinks as well as juice, and alcoholic drinks, including beers, wines and spirits. For food options, we have a range of hot sandwiches, cold sandwiches and sweet savoury snacks. Everything that we sell can be found in your magazines, which are in the seat pockets in front of you, including any of our meal deals. We hope you enjoy this flight today with us, and if you need any further assistance, please just ask a member of cabin crew.
Now the announcements are out of the way, we fly over the area of Goodwood, Old Airfield and Racecourse and approach the English Channel. Originally coming from Sussex myself, it's always nice to see it from above. Hayling Island comes into clear view with its distinctive shape on the coast. This island used to be famous for its oyster farming up until the 1970s. For those boat lovers out there who have watched the Brittany Ferries videos on my channel, I have left this section of the flight in so you could get a little different perspective of Portsmouth and Southsea from above. You can clearly see its large natural harbour with Gosport on the right hand side. At this altitude it's a little clearer to see how Portsmouth is actually surrounded by water, albeit only a small estuary at the north, being on Portsea Island. The Isle of Wight then comes into view on the horizon directly above Gosport. Skipping on a little, we cross the River Itching as it heads towards Southampton before we head out to sea and cross the English Channel and then onwards to the Bay of Biscay. It is not until we reach Spain that once again we make proper landfall, cruising over its central regions before we drop down towards the southern Spanish coast near Malaga. As we make it out over the Mediterranean Sea, we see evidence of one of Europe's busiest shipping lanes passing the Strait of Gibraltar. Here we can see from above where two continents almost meet, of Europe and Africa. The distinctive promontory rocks either side are known as the Pillars of Hercules. We then descend down for our approach from the west today over the Bay of Gibraltar. This will afford us some excellent views of the port of Algeciras, where I will be heading later in today's video. On the headland here is the Punta Canero lighthouse. The Bay of Gibraltar reminds me in some fashion of my many trips to San Francisco, with its low-lying fog and natural harbour setting, plus some similar coloured terrain from the air. Resetting the video now, back to regular speed, to afford some excellent views over the port of Algeciras. This is the main hub of shipping and ferry activity from Europe to Africa. Ferries travel daily from here to Tangier, Morocco, and also of course to the Spanish enclave of Ceuta, where we might be travelling later today. As you can see here, Algeciras is also home to a large container port, and there are several ro-ro ships operated by lines such as DFDS, headed for Africa. Pause the video to see which ships you can spot, and let me know in the comments below. We then bank in for our right-hand turn to final approach onto Gibraltar's spectacular over-water runway arrival. Just as I thought the ferry spotting was over, one final treat was the sight of Stena Europe, possibly in a dry dock, having just had its new Africa-Morocco link, colours applied, ready for its new charter down here. Then the Spanish city of Linea de Concepción comes into view, where I will be staying due to an unplanned mishap in my next video. Keep your eyes peeled for when that video is released in the next few weeks. We land into Gibraltar Airport on runway 09, and in some bizarre fluke, it's 11 minutes 58 seconds into the video, or also at 11:58 AM in real life, around 20 minutes ahead of the scheduled arrival of 12:20 PM. You can see here the old passenger terminal contrasting the new. Gibraltar is an airport I've always wanted to fly to, so this was a long time wish come true for myself. It is unique in many aspects, which I will discuss shortly.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Gibraltar here. Local time is 1 hour ahead of the UK and it's now approaching 12 o'clock. Please do remain seated with your seatbelts fastened until the seatbelt sign has been switched off and the aircraft has come to a complete and final stop. Your portable electronic devices for messaging, calls and internet access may now be used. Before leaving the aircraft today, make sure you take all of your personal belongings with you by checking in the seat pockets underneath the seats and into the overhead lockers, and to take care of opening the overhead lockers in case anything falls out. Smoking is still not permitted until you reach a designated smoking area. To all passengers that requested assistance, we do kindly ask that you remain seated until everyone else has disembarked, so that the cabin crew and the ground staff will be able to help you further. All that's left to say from me is thanks for choosing to fly with Eastern this morning, and on behalf of the captain, the first officer and the entire onboard crew, we would like now to wish you a safe and pleasant onward journey to your final destination. Thank you once again and have a really lovely stay here in Gibraltar.
Affording my first view of the rock with the sun glaring behind her.
Did you know that we also offer an unbeatable price guarantee for our package holidays? Whether you're after a city break or a beach holiday, we've got thousands of hand-picked hotels for you to choose from. Simply search EasyJet Holidays and start planning your next getaway.
Cabin crew disarm doors for arrival, thank you.
Being a British enclave at the tip of Spain, this airport sits right by the border. If you walk one street south of the terminal, you need to go through Spanish passport control. On a UK passport, there are no stamps arriving in Gibraltar. However, a passport is required since this is a British overseas territory. Alighting the plane was quick and easy. And gosh, it's a lot warmer here than back in cold England. Let's now head into town This will definitely be an interesting route. Gibraltar is, I believe, the only international airport in Europe, certainly that accommodates jet airliners, where you can walk across the runway every day. In fact, you pretty much have to get from here to the city centre if you choose to go by foot. And why take the bus, where this is a totally unique experience? Before leaving the airport, you must see the Cradle of History monument, which, amongst many things, denotes Gibraltar's historical past and even has a Neanderthal skull discovered here. The next monument you come to is that from the First World War, 1914 to 18, to remember those lost. In some ways, Gibraltar is like a miniature UK. However, in others, it's very different. My first impression of arriving on the Rock, as it's known, is that it feels a little like Hong Kong used to, where I last visited back in the 2000s, when it still had more British influence, like the overseas territory does here today. I cross over the road here, and besides this bridge, one thing worth noting is the city does not seem very pedestrian friendly, with infrequent and tricky crossings and a lot of traffic. This would also not be an easy crossing with a disability and its steep, stepped ramp. A nice notable change from England, however, are the palm trees. Though I see that these annoying e-scooters have found their way here also. If you like them, that's great. But I'm sorry, I don't, and I think they're dangerous. On my way to Ocean Village, I stop to film this bus stop, which looks almost exactly like those back home in London. They even appear to have a night bus. Arriving at Ocean Village, moored up here is the Sunbourne. This is a unique 5-star hotel on a moored up yacht. It looks like prices start at around £150 per night, a bit too much for me. I then stop for a much needed Gibraltarese latte. Well, not really, it's like an English one, at the Hendrix pub. I then cross on the land border back to Spain and arrive here at the Linea de Concepción bus station, waiting for my bus to Algeciras. Very luckily, I make it on board, but only just. They would not accept cards, and I only had either a 10 or 20 euro note, and the driver grumbled and grunted about accepting it and giving me change. This is certainly something to remember if you are doing the journey yourself. Anyhow, the upside and benefit, I suppose, is the bus fare is only around €2. A bargain, really, for about a 45-minute journey. Here we head out along the marina side as we make our journey around the Bay of Gibraltar to the other side. These buses are very busy and noisy on board, so make sure you get on quick to get a seat. If you do such things, you could in theory take an Uber for this journey instead, which apparently costs around 30 to 40 euros. However, alas, for me, that's too expensive. But due to it not having any stops, does shave around 20 minutes off the journey time. And also, of course, avoids all these noisy passengers. I was keeping my eyes peeled and hoping I might get a glimpse of the Stena Europe along here. However, alas, it was too far back from the road. Gibraltar itself is also frequently visited by cruise ships, which you can see many in the distance berthing up there. As we pass by the large petrochemical works, I must admit I was a little bit nervous about arriving in Algeciras, as my friend had told me he had been there a few years previous and said there were some quite unsalubrious characters around, so I had planned to quickly walk from the bus station to the port in as little time as possible. As such, it is not featured in this video, but you will see it on the video on my return. I make it in one piece from the bus station, and here we are arriving at the Puerto de Algeciras. Now, I just need to work out where to go, as I have a ferry to catch. Ah yes, this must be it, Ceuta, with the other destination from here being Tangier. Check-in was quick and easy, and we head upstairs to the departure area. After only around a 5 minutes wait, at an airport-style security, where I must add passport ID was required despite this still being Spain, I was on to the boarding bridge, in fact the rather long boarding bridge, across to my vessel, and the excitement awaits. And here she is, just coming into view. Welcome aboard the HSC high-speed craft Cecilia Payne. Unusually for me, I had paid around €5 extra for a club class ticket, so here we are in the club class seating area. Not USB, but old school power sockets are provided. Whilst the seats were very comfortable, they had this bizarre Laurel and Hardy type movement of moving back and forward with the ship's engine, which you could see the motion in the next clip of the food. I figured the club class worth it, as it is paid for by this mini pizza, sandwich and can of Coke. However, if this is not enough, you could always buy another snack from the bar cafeteria at the front. Directly behind the club class is a fairly well concealed outdoor viewing deck. Algeciras is a ferry lover's paradise, here with the cowness of Africo-Morocco link and the DFDS or FRS Poniente jet, an Incat built craft, whereas the vessel we are on today is from Ostal. And gosh, it really reminds me of being on board the Condor Liberation up here, which you could see in my previous video. Fairly industrial looking port of Algeciras and its huge and various boarding bridges. And as a clue for the next video, I believe the Balearia ship behind will be the one we are sailing on tomorrow.
On behalf of the captain and crew, we welcome you on board. Thank you for choosing Balearia. We wish you a pleasant crossing and hope to see you on board again. Thank you for your attention.
Well, there you have it. So, here we go, and welcome to Balearia and the HSC Cecilia Payne. She was actually launched in 1999 as the Jonathan Swift for Irish ferries, and ended up down here in southern Europe in 2018 when she began working for Balearia. Now immediately, I'm getting very excited here by the ship just coming into view, the Morocco Star of Africa-Morocco Link. For my Danish viewers, the Morocco Star was built in Denmark in 1980 and operated most of its career there up until 2016. A grand old dame of a ferry, and hopefully maybe one day I will get to go to Tangier on her, where she currently sails. I bid farewell to the port of Algeciras, and Europe even. Whilst we are sailing out, a few notes on the price I paid for today's ticket on the Cecilia Payne. It was €29 one way, with €5 extra for club class on the 4 PM sailing, arriving at 5 o'clock. And unbelievably, I only booked this one day in advance. We then sail up past the myriad of container vessels on offer here from either Maersk Line or MSC. I find the extra speed of the video here shows a little animation in the containers being loaded and unloaded off the ships. Docked a little further up here is the MSC Ubati 8, a huge 333 metre long container ship built in 2008, and I see from marine traffic she often sails around the different ports of Spain. Who the hell is Alice? Well, it turns out she's a small oil tanker that often sails around the Mediterranean. I've waited 24 years to see her as well. I hope at least someone gets those song references, or they might just think I've gone mad. But that's a story for another day. The DFDS vessel, Tangier Express, is now following us out of port. Just arriving as we leave is DFDS's main offering on this route, the Ceuta jet. I decided against booking on her as she had no onboard seated lounge area, which Balearia offered, and ironically, I was so excited by the views, I've not used anyhow. I believe the other DFDS, just leaving the port here behind, is the Tangier Express, but if I'm wrong, please let me know. And hello sailor. A view over the Bay of Gibraltar in this stunning November weather. It's much warmer than being back in England. However, as a reminder of home, the stunning Rock of Gibraltar comes into view. British have ruled Gibraltar since 1713, and Winston Churchill once famously said that the Union flag will always fly there as long as its famous Barbary monkeys live on the rock. Anyhow, I will explore more of Gibraltar and its British influences in my next video. Gosh, sorry about the shaking, it's incredibly windy out here. I believe this is one of MSC's mega ships, the Irina class, which are about 400 metres long, and one of their rivals, Hapag-Lloyd's, is on the other side. As our boat reaches the end of the bay, the engines on the Cecilia begin to kick in to full throttle. I feel like I am now making the same journey I took earlier on the plane in reverse, and here again is the Faro de Punta Canero lighthouse in the distance on the headland as we leave mainland Spain. I am not sure why, but the Rock of Gibraltar really is mesmerisingly beautiful as we sail away from her, and I can imagine tomorrow it will be greeting me back. But now she fades away into the distance behind the craft's wake. At full speed on this side of the ship, the wind is certainly giving you a good battering. We've seen DFDS's Ceuta jet earlier on, but there are not only two, there are three operators travelling on this route from Algeciras to Ceuta, and the third being Trasmediterranea, part of Balearia, Armas, and this vessel being the Ciudad de Ceuta. It's another incat from Tasmania. And finally, I get the first close-up view in my life of Africa. Well, I think it's Africa. I mean, it's continental Africa. Just like Gibraltar is a British enclave, Ceuta is a Spanish enclave, here on the coast of Morocco. What a glorious view of the mist over the mountains. Ceuta is one of only two parts of the European Union on continental Africa, the other being Melilla, which I will have to visit on another trip. Up on the top of the hill is the Fortaleza del Monte Hacho, which has been various things in its life, including a prison in the 19th century. Excitement builds as I enter through the breakwater of Ceuta for the first time. What an incredible view of this statue here of the Pillars of Hercules, with the Rock of Gibraltar just peering out of the mist behind. As we enter the port, it just occurred to me I have not shown you the standard class accommodations on board the ship, so I will check these out as I disembark. The first thing I can spot when I see the close-up view of the port is Lidl. Not what you expect to see in Africa. However, if I'm stuck for food later, I guess it's an option. There is also another out-of-service Balearia vessel here, possibly laid up for winter. The wake of the ship as we spin around, ready for our docking time of 5 PM. And that's it, we are mooring up. On disembarkation, here as promised, are the standard class accommodations. Upon close look, there doesn't appear to be any power outlets like there is in Club. However, there's lots of space, and I do really like all of these tables. Over at the back here looks to be a well-catered and stocked cafeteria. Having 2 of these on board the ship is really very good. Off we go, and we wave goodbye to the high-speed craft Cecilia Payne. And welcome to Ceuta, the Spanish enclave in North Africa. And my first time on the African continent. And of course, what could be more African than a Christmas tree? If that is not enough, here is the nativity as well. I suppose it is mid-November. Maybe they're a little early. All jokes aside, I already feel like I really like this place. It has a nice, welcoming atmosphere. One of the main things I find appealing here is, at least today, it feels very off the main, beaten tourist trail, with not many other tourists around. It also feels safe, small, and easy to walk around everywhere. Ironically, as the sirens go off. This is standing in the Plaza de Africa. It's great taking in the warm evening light and looking around and also seeing one of the many beautiful local churches. Sadly, I am very tired and it's time to go and find my hotel. I have arrived at the Oh Nice Ulysses Ceuta. A very modern entrance. Let's go and check it out inside. Check-in was an easy process and a nice marble lobby. I take the elevator up to my room. Wow, this room is really very fantastic, and it only cost £52 per night. And of course, what more could you want than a mural of Stonehenge above your bed in Africa? There were plenty of charging sockets and the beds made for a very comfy night's sleep. TV available as usual, and the bathroom was also huge with all of the facilities as shown here. Someone even put my beard shaver in here already. The nice marble-lined shower was also excellent, and especially for me, came with both a shower on an attachment and a rain shower above, which I'm afraid I do not like using. There's also a great selection of toiletries here. We will maybe gloss over the view from the very small balcony. After a very much needed couple of hours kip, I come back out after dark in the search for food, and there's not a huge number of budget options, but alas, luckily I found the obligatory McDonald's, and I even treated myself this time to an ice cream as well. I thought I was back in Marble Arch for a second, but this is the Triumphal Arch. It was then time to find a beer, sitting outside of course, because why not when you're in Africa, even if it's November. It's now time to retire to bed. Full costings for this trip are as shown here, really excellent value for money at £115. And with that, thank you for watching Carl's Travel Channel. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one for the journey back home tomorrow.